Peace United Church of Christ. It is a joy to be with you once again on this Sunday morning. The writer of our text today from 1 Peter is a devout Jew who has become a fervent follower of the way of Jesus. He is writing to both Jews and Gentiles, and he wants each of them to know how precious they are to God. To do so, he uses the most evocative phrases he can redeem from within Jewish history. We who were once separated from God have now been blessed with mercy and welcome. We are now God's own people, in order that we may proclaim the mighty acts of the one who called us out of darkness into light. We are not given all this blessing so that we might bask in the glow of our chosenness. We are blessed to be a blessing to others. We are shown mercy so that we will be merciful. We are freed from the dark side so that we will become torch carriers for the living Christ. Just as Jesus lived out his baptismal blessing, "You are my beloved, with you I am well pleased," by calling and caring for the last, the least, and the little ones, so are we called to live as Christ lived. What are the Jesus actions and images that speak most to you? Jesus the generous, breaking loaves and fishes for thousands to eat. Jesus the merciful, dispersing a mob of rock-ready men surrounding one frightened woman. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Jesus the indignant, driving corrupt moneylenders out of God's temple. Jesus the confrontational, naming the duplicity of the religious leadership. Jesus the servant, washing the feet of his disciples. Jesus the fixer, turning water into wine for a marriage feast. Jesus the mystic, separating himself from the demands on his time to imbue the strength which comes only through dwelling in God's presence. Jesus the leader, commissioning his disciples to heal and to teach. Can you see yourself as God's own? Generous, merciful, indignant, confrontational, serving, fixing, praying, leading, living in God's light. We are no longer aimless people. We are now people with a purpose and a mission. In our generosity, we create art, music, and vegetable gardens. We give money to the hungry and shelter to the homeless. In our mercy, we restore relationships and heal the brokenhearted. In our indignation, we rail against unjust systems and endless violence. In our confrontation, we must resist hate mongers and the abuse of the powerful over the weak. In our serving, we mend hearts and homes. We change diapers and do taxes. In our fixing, we do whatever it takes to make this world more equitable for all. In our mysticism, we offer prayers of healing. We cherish the holy. We listen in love. In our leading, we organize marches and committees, worship and witnessing, so that all may move from darkness into God's marvelous light. Because we are God's own people, we will take issue with any way of life which disregards the last, the least, and the little ones. Because we are God's own people, we will re-examine every issue of this age and reimagine how Jesus would have lived into today's reality. Because we are God's own people, we walk in newness of life. Come to Christ, a living stone, chosen and precious in God's sight. And like living stones, let yourselves be built into a spiritual house. Our family of faith is the place where our bricks of generosity and mercy and service are stacked with others' bricks of confrontation and leading and seeking, so that our spiritual house is a stronger and better and brighter place than any one of our lone lives. The existence of Peace United Church of Christ is a gift built with the bricks of our spiritual mothers and fathers. They were people of mercy and vision, of justice and hope, living stones building a spiritual house. Before the land was bought or a sanctuary built, before a dollar was pledged or a tree moved, a covenant was crafted among God's own people. A spiritual house of welcome was created where God could be honored and God's unconditional love be offered to all. The congregation, founded as Church of the Master in 1964, envisioned a community of welcome, a people who served. Through the years, that service has taken expression in so many ways, from working with Habitat for Humanity to road trips for serving with Heart and Hammer to helping create Link and the Christian Ministry Organization, which is still offering emergency services, a soup kitchen, and taking emergency food boxes to those especially vulnerable during this pandemic. You did not stop with serving the poor and the homeless. This congregation also felt called to address those ostracized by society because of their sexual orientation or identity. In 2014, you found the courage to have the difficult and thoughtful conversations that would lead you to vote to become an open and affirming congregation, giving weight to your proclamation, no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. You followed this hard work with the decision to make sure that a name which carries great biblical witness, but could be a stumbling block for some of God's beloved, was replaced. Transforming yourself from Church of the Master to Peace United Church of Christ was not without pain, but it was purpose-driven, allowing your true spirit to shine through. We are now writing a new chapter in the communal story of Peace United Church of Christ. Though we cannot congregate, we are not random stones scattered across the landscape. We remain God's own people, gathered spiritually in covenant, working to create a new identity, wondering what corporate worship can look like in the future, and trying to fathom how we can have church without hugs. We have more work ahead, assessing our needs, exploring our history, creating a vision for who we want to become. God knows we will find ways to share our love because we are today's living stones, being crafted into a spiritual body fit for all the challenges ahead. Together, we are building a community where the presence of God is made real to all. May Peace United Church of Christ always be a place where divine love and blessing meets human need and welcome, and we are all known as God's own people. May it be so, Lord. May it be so. Amen. I discovered last Sunday that Peace United Church of Christ typically observes communion on the first Sunday of the month. Since we missed that, I will videotape a communion celebration next and invite you now to take a moment and gather the elements you would like to have available to remember our communion with the living Christ.